What's up everybody, I'm Mongoose, you are awesome, and welcome to the first installment of The Third Point of View, a weekly roll-up tracking the progress of the various post-Paragon MOBAs currently in production. On today's schedule we have a summary of what each game and company is all about, the most recent news and updates for the games, an interview with Johnny aka Bacon, one of the GDAs at Undying Games, and some closing remarks. Let's start off by clearing up what all these games are and who makes them. But first I want to talk about Rocketmania's Overthrow. I'm not counting this one as part of the Paragon-inspired MOBAs because it isn't meant to be a sustainable game. It is, however, an impressive achievement by one person who has created a playable version of Paragon. You can go download the client right now and play as your favorite hero. So hats off and much respect to Rocketmania, but I'm going to focus this show on sustainable MOBAs that are produced and backed by full-fledged companies. Now on to summarizing these games. I'll go in alphabetical order to keep things honest. Metabuff with Core. So Metabuff started as Unleashed Games producing Project Agora. Project Agora is often referred to as Paragon 2, however that has never been the official or working title for any of the projects. It's more of a slang term we've all used to describe the post-Paragon MOBAs. In a huge step towards bringing the game to console, Unleashed Games incorporated and changed their name to Metabuff. They also released the official title of their game, which is Core. Core will feature the free assets released by Epic Games, so you will be able to play as your old favorites. They also plan to make mechanical and map changes. Little is known so far, but they do have an upcoming proof of concept that should clear up quite a bit about the game. Omeda Studios with Predecessor. Omeda Studios started as one person and then blossomed into an entire company that's the driving force behind Predecessor. Predecessor is set to be a prequel to Paragon that also uses the free assets offered by Epic. Although they will be changing up the map while fine-tuning game mechanics, the real draw for this one is the element system that will affect the way you play based on what element your hero is aligned with. Predecessor promises to bring us the things we loved about Paragon with a twist. Undying Games with Ethereal Clash of Souls. Undying Games is the most experienced of the companies and is offering the most ambitious title with Ethereal Clash of Souls. The only one of these projects that started production well before Paragon closed its doors, Ethereal offers a variety of innovations for the MOBA genre in general. They do not plan to use the free assets from Epic and instead have gone with their own art style and direction. The game will have 6v6 gameplay, vertically tiered maps, 8 playable classes, destructible environments, and a variety of other features for fans to get excited about. Visionary Games with Project Phoenix Rising. Visionary Games came out swinging with Phoenix Rising. Beautifully animated heroes, gorgeous map textures, and early proof that the game functions as intended gives their fans something to cheer for. Another company that has decided not to use the Paragon assets, they've instead forged ahead with their own unique world and cast of characters. They offer the feel of Paragon in a brand new and exciting game. Now on to the most recent news and updates for these games. Metabuff. Up until now, most of the information about Metabuff could only be gleaned from Sylphan's streams and videos. They have, however, recently announced that they will be releasing their proof of concept to the public on November 19th. I'm extremely curious about this title and can't wait to see what they have in store. Omeda Studios. Omeda announced this week that they will be switching to Helix Core, a workflow management system, to aid them with streamlining the production process. While this may not be the most exciting news, it's important to note that for a game to be successful, proper management techniques are just as important as flashy animations and sound design. Also this week, Predecessor had what was probably the biggest news out of everyone of late when announcing the inclusion of RGS Ace to the team. If you don't know who RGS Ace is, then you probably didn't play Paragon. I'm sure his unique skill set, understanding of the game, and overall knowledge about how a third-person MOBA should be appropriately balanced will be a boon to the team over at Omeda. Undying Games. The folks over at Undying continue to keep the fire stoked with their Tuesday teasers for Ethereal. This week was the splash art for Malware, a marksman class myth in the game. The artwork looks great and they always provide a good backstory when introducing us to a hero. This guy started out as an aggressive computer virus that gained sentience and was eventually able to hack into a mortal spirit. They just keep pumping out amazing looking and very unique characters. Visionary Games. Not gonna lie, things have been looking a little bleak over at Visionary. However, I spoke with them and they assure me that they are moving forward with the game. They laid out a plan to introduce a bare bones proof of concept with their current assets, so if you're a fan of Phoenix Rising, don't lose hope. Visionary is still very much focused on bringing us a unique third-person experience. That was the recent news for the week. As always, for more detailed information or to find out what's been going on all along in the development process, contact the companies themselves via their social media, and I assure you that they will be more than willing to provide you with the information you seek. Each week, I plan to interview members of the various teams rotating between each company so everyone has a chance to tell you about their game. This week, I spoke with Johnny, aka Bacon, over at Undying Games about Ethereal. Let everybody know what you do over at Undying.
Yeah, cool. So my name is Johnny. That's my real life name. I go by Unreal Bacon in the Discord. I am a GDA for Undying Games, so I sort of do balancing, future balancing, myth design, kits, all the good stuff. What goes in, what goes out of the game, map design, what should be in the map, etc. Just basically how the game should run for the community.
Okay, great. I didn't know you did all that. That's awesome.
Well, there's about 5 of us at the minute, 5 current GDAs. So, we all sort of take certain roles. So for instance, I could be doing map leveling or whatever, and then my colleague could be doing myth design, and I could switch over to myth design. So it's all balanced out. Our lead GDA is UG Luke. He's sort of the leader of our group, and he's one of the co-founders of Undying Games.
Oh, right on. Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds like, you don't get bored of doing one thing. Like, you just kind of pass it off if you get bored of doing just that one thing, and then you could start doing another, like from map leveling to character design.
Yeah, exactly. All of our strengths are sort of tossed around, and just say if one person's designing a myth, he'll go to the rest of us and, get feedback. And if we don't like it, it'll say, okay, how are we going to change this up? So we just help each other out, with each aspect of the game.
Okay, great. Let's get into some of the questions I have prepared here. So some questions I had is, Ethereal is obviously more than a Paragon-inspired MOBA. What are some of the main influences for gameplay and design, and was Paragon even one of those influences?
Okay, so Ethereal was in development before Paragon got shut down. So Paragon wasn't its main influence. A lot of people sort of get it mixed up when they see, they see Ethereal and they're like, oh, another Paragon spin-off. But Ethereal was mainly influenced by a Final Fantasy sort of MOBA genre. So in that terms, it's a lot bigger. The map is huge. It's a 6v6 map. It's top, mid, bottom lane, but in a vertical setup. We want to do something that was completely, different to the MOBA genre. We wanted to incorporate a bit of Final Fantasy, a bit of MMO feel as well. The player, when exploring the map, has elements of a MOBA, but it's also a much more adventurous feel. So we have cannons to sort of transition from lanes. You can drop down from lane to lane, which is the vertical aspect of it, which was really important to us because we needed to be unique. The MOBA genre is very, very brutal in terms of getting yourself out there. There's no point introducing a new MOBA because a new MOBA that's like League or Dota or Smite, because they do it so well. You have to stand out there. You have to put yourself out there with new ideas, and that's sort of what Ethereal is about. It's completely new, original, and nobody's ever done it before. So we're really excited to sort of show the world what this new genre can do, and its potential as well.
The top-down MOBAs, they do those well, but that has been a thing for so long, and everything seems to be like very set in stone from one MOBA to another. I'm glad to see you guys picking up and creating some innovations for the genre and breathing some life into it.
Exactly. It's new, and we wanted to introduce a new MOBA to the community because, as I said before, it's very difficult to come out with the same sort of top, mid, bottom in a horizontal lane. So, you have your top lane in, this is from League, you have your top lane in the left, you have your mid lane in the middle, and bottom lane to the right, etc. So uniqueness was very important to us because we wanted to captivate an audience. People aren't going to be interested in a new MOBA because why should they care? If it's the exact same as League or Dota, as I've said before, it's nothing special. So that's why we wanted to incorporate that sort of map design. It's truly special and it's never been done before.
Where did the idea for the vertically tiered map come from? I like to think that it started as a joke. Like somebody was like, why isn't the top lane on the top?
Well, so that's basically, you're onto something there. We basically took from League, so top, mid, bottom, and we said, well, why don't we put the top lane literally on top? So on top of the mid lane in the middle, and of course bottom lane at the bottom. That was the main inspiration for the idea. Rather than having it on a horizontal plane, we took the idea and we flipped it, literally rotated it 90 degrees and put the top, mid, and bottom lane vertical towards each other. So that was sort of the main inspiration for that.
Now, how will that affect gameplay, though? That sounds cool and it looks really cool, but how will it affect how you play the game?
So basically what you're saying is a meta. Is that what you're getting at there? Sort of how will the meta be defined by that new map design?
Right, yes.
Yeah, so as we said before, it's completely new. So it's going to be a completely new meta, and that's what we're really excited about for the player to discover, you know? This has never been done before, and it's a MOBA, but with a completely new meta. So when the player, loads into the game, they're going to have to develop different strategies. They're going to have to transition from lane to lane. Ganking is going to be different. There's going to be a ground meta, so there's going to be a lane meta, but there's also going to be a sky meta, as you've seen before, where you have sky slayers. So it's a lot of different gameplay elements incorporated into the game, which we've taken time to balance, etc. But we're just really excited to show the world this brand new meta, which the player will be defining when they play our game.
Speaking of which, with a 6v6 format, it kind of creates more opportunities for cheese strats, I would say, even more so than with a 5v5. How do you plan to deal with emerging strategies that appear to have little to no counterplay?
So, again, that links into meta. So what you're coming at is kind of strategies that can't be defeated. Is that what you're getting at? Like, really easy to do strategies that will win the game?
Not exactly easy to do, but like very hard to counter, like backdoor strategies that you see in a lot of MOBAs. How do you guys plan to deal with that? Is that going to be something that you just wait to see if the player base can adjust to it, or do you plan to just like stamp it out?
Well, exactly. Yeah, so as I said, we're in very early development. We're in pre-alpha, and the player is going to basically go into the game, and we have 2,000 slots for pre-alphas, so they're sort of going to define new strategies and incorporate new ideas, etc. But of course, as people play the game, there's going to be a defining meta. Like in any MOBA genre, players define the meta. It's all about how players are going to, do different strategies, etc. Like strategies just don't come up out of the blue. Players see pro players especially develop these gameplay tactics, etc., and they are incorporated into a meta, and then hence players follow that meta, and it's just being incorporated into the game, and it's just seen as second nature. So we're going to have to see. We're going to have to wait and see, basically, what the players do, and that's what we're really excited about.
Right on. So the map is named Oblivion, which leads me to believe that there is more than one map. Is this true? And are there plans for other game modes apart from the 6v6?
Yeah. Of course there are. Can't say anything this early because it is a secret, but I will say that there is a 2v2 and there is a 1v1, which we do hope to release in the alpha. So we are excited. 1v1? Yeah, Jewel, it's going to be awesome. Really excited to see how players are going to sort of fight one another without any outside influences. So we're really excited for that.
Yeah, you often get those people that are like, hey, 1v1 me, bro. 1v1 me. You could actually do it.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, settle their differences aside in a 1v1 lane or map, sorry. So we're really excited to see what's going to happen.
It's been said that parts of the environment will be destructible. Will that be a consistent feature of the map, or does that only refer to night constructions, like player-made constructions?
So it's funny you mentioned that. We're actually balancing that at the minute, me and the GDA team. We're deciding at this moment whether or not a destructible environment should remain destroyed or respawn. We're still balancing that at the minute, but that will be very important, obviously, for gameplay tactics, etc. As you know, the environment is destructible with certain myths, etc. Every myth has their own unique interaction with the environment. So we're really excited to see how players will incorporate that into their gameplay, which will lead to new tactics, etc. But as I said, we're balancing that at the minute, whether or not we should leave the environment destructible or make the objectives respawn. We're still balancing it.
Okay, right on. That sounds like a really cool concept. That's something that people ask for constantly in pretty much every MOBA.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be really cool to see how people incorporate different strategies. It's going to be a very complex MOBA. It's going to be very deep and it's going to require a lot of thinking, but the reward will be amazing. People will feel really rewarded when they get a kill, etc., from a deep strategy. So it's very, very good.
From what I've observed, the Undying team is very receptive and responsive to community input. However, we often ask for things we want instead of what the game needs. Also, sometimes what we want really isn't what's best. How do you manage community input and balance the wants of the players with the needs of the game?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We are very receptive to community feedback. Other content creators have sort of asked us from their communities, they'd like to see this in the game, an example of which is verticality. At the beginning, the lanes were looking flat, and the majority of our community said, can we have a bit more verticality, make it more like Paragon, where you could jump, etc., etc. And we released a pre-alpha trailer where we incorporated a lot more verticality in lanes. Of course, the game itself is vertical when you can transition from top, mid, bottom lane, but in the lanes themselves, we've added a lot more rocks, cliffs, etc., bridges, to make the lanes much more interactive, and that came from community feedback. To answer your question about what the community wants and needs, etc., at the end of the day, the community is playing the game. It's not about really what we want as developers. It's about what the community wants. We can put it in. If the community doesn't like it, we'll take it out. But it all comes down to majority. So if 60% of the community say like it and 40% don't like it, of course we're going to keep it in, because we'd rather lose 40% than 60%. It all comes down to statistics and mathematics. What percentage we're going to lose. So it all comes down to majority of community feedback as we balance the game.
Okay, that seems like a pretty good policy. Let's go with a lighter question here. The first hero we saw was Malaya, but there has been an obvious shift in the appearance of the myth since you guys first introduced us to Malaya. Will she be reworked as well?
So that all comes down to community feedback. When they first saw Malaya, she said she looked a bit cartoony. We didn't actually have the shades on, but we are incorporating shades at the minute, graphical designs. People have loved the map design. They said it looks amazing, beautiful. I'm sure you've seen the alpha yourself, the pre-alpha trailer. The map is just looking amazing, and the characters are going to fit into that map. Our 3D model artists are constantly adding shades to make the characters look beautiful. But we just wanted to sort of release a proof of concept, just to show, here's the base design of the character. There's no graphical mods or anything put onto them yet. We will be putting them on as time moves on, and even with particle effects of weapons, we do plan to incorporate that. And we will show it off to the community. So to answer your question, yes, every myth is getting reworked and upgraded and updated and graphically improved.
They look amazing. I really, really like the look of this game.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah, it's something we want to sort of emphasize. A good-looking MOBA, you know what I mean? Like Paragon, which ran off Unreal Engine 4. It looked beautiful. Take the gameplay out of Paragon. It just looked fabulous. And that's really what we wanted to achieve in Ethereal and sort of captivate the audience. Of course, gameplay is more important. Balancing is more important. But having a nice graphical design is always a bonus.
Oh yeah, most definitely. That's what brought a lot of people into Paragon. That's what brought me into Paragon, was how beautiful it looked.
Yeah, it did look amazing.
There are 8 classes of myths, but only 6 players per team. Are there classes that you feel will be nearly required for a balanced composition, with some peripheral classes that can just kind of be subbed in?
That relates back to the meta again. We're going to see players jump into the game. We're going to see players use different myth classes, and we're going to see which myths are being used the most, which myths are not being used the most. I will say this. I won't reveal too much information, but I will say each character and myth complement each other. It's a very deep thought process behind that, and it took a lot of time to balance it. But each myth design in their kit complements a character that just say if somebody chose an archer and a berserker, right? I won't reveal the characters' names, but a character within the archer myth class benefit from a particular berserker, and that's all to do with balancing. And that as the player plays the game, gets a feel for it, develops strategies, and understands each character's component, we hope to see an equal balance between all myths. But of course, there is the possibility that more will be played than others. And of course, we balance it and see what happens. But it's all to do with the community. The community decides this without knowing it.
That is really encouraging to hear that you guys have gone into such detail that you made myths that kind of work off of each other and that kind of ties in with their lore.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a lore. We wanted the game to have feeling. Every character in the game, is very unique and they're not bland. And they all link to each other in a certain way. An example so if you take Paragon, there's Kalari. She was part of the same project as Wraith, and Hotweiser and all that. They were all part of the same. If you look into their lore, they were all part of the same scientific experiment. And that's we wanted to link that lore into our game, but with a much deeper feeling, to the point where it actually affects gameplay. And as I said before, it will lead to really complex strategies that will have really big rewards if they pay off, of course. But again, it all comes down to people playing the game and us as developers seeing what's being picked, what's not being picked, and how can we balance it so that there's an equal bell curve between the players and myth classes.
That sounds great to me. I love lore. I don't know if you knew this, but I'm a big lore guy.
Yeah, same. Yeah, our lead GDA, Luke, is a big lore guy as well. Lore is just very important. It's a nice touch to have.
Okay, I know the answer to this, but it's always asked, so what are your plans for bringing the game to console? And if you do bring it to console, how do you feel about cross-platform play?
Okay, so yeah, this is a question we've been asked a lot. So of course, the main player base from Paragon was from PS4. We do plan to release our game off our own client, and that's simply for the basis of funding. It's actually expensive to launch off Steam because, as you know, Steam takes 30%. So what we do hope to do is launch off our own client, and then once we get enough players, etc., we do hope to launch off Steam. Now, why we're launching off Steam is because, as you know, Steam has controller. It supports controller, and that will allow people who were on PS4 and don't know how, or Xbox One, etc., and don't know how to use a keyboard or mouse to play our game on a computer. And that was the main reason why we wanted it on Steam later on, was so that the console players could sort of have access to our game, even if they didn't have a mouse and keyboard to play with. Then, of course, after we launch it on PC, the dream is to be on console. But as you know, Sony are very awkward when it comes to releasing their games on their store. But of course, we will try our best, and it is looking good to get it on console. But of course, we have to, put it through pre-alpha. We have to put it through alpha. We have to put it through beta, and we have to put it through actual game release on PC first.
Right, yeah. So pretty much just like everybody else, got to get it on the PC first, perfect it, and then get it over to console.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
How many playable characters do you plan to release with the first alpha? Also, how can fans of the game go about getting their hands on that alpha?
So we plan to release so far 16 characters. Now this could change because we are in development of Overseer. That's one of our myths. We hope to sort of have that by alpha, which was one of the reasons why we pushed it back. The available slots for our pre-alpha will be 2,000, and they will we'll notify people on our social medias when slots will be available. And we'll be releasing codes for these slots. Of course, content creators will get free slots because they can stream or upload videos of our alpha to the community and allow people who don't have codes to view gameplay. But we want to cross that bridge when we come to it. Right now, we're focusing on perfecting gameplay, perfecting balancing, myth design, etc. And then when we're ready to release pre-alpha, we'll make an announcement on all our Discords on how you can get the codes and what to do when you have the codes, etc., etc.
So basically, people need to get up on your social media and start following you guys.
Basically, yeah. Discord, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. That's where all our main announcements are. Of course, you get videos off our YouTube channel, but mainly our Discord is the most active place to be. Facebook is also a great place, and the rest of our social media. But if you want to get most of the juicy info, I'd recommend you join our Discord.
A lot of people want to help. Everybody wants to contribute. How can members of the community best contribute towards the success of Ethereal?
Stay active, stay positive. We love hearing your ideas about what our game is going to be. That's really cool for us. As I said, we don't want to do a Kickstarter yet, because obviously we want to release gameplay and see what you guys think. People have been asking us, a lot of people have been asking us, how can we donate and stuff like that, but we don't want to take anybody's money, just for the simple basis of we don't really want to give anybody a blank canvas. So when people are giving us money before we've even released gameplay, it's putting pressure on us to release an unfinished product that mightn't be to their expectation. So what I want to do is perfect the project, perfect the gameplay, perfect the videos, etc. Release it, see what the world thinks, and if they like it, we'll do a Kickstarter to help us get the project rolling, etc. But right now we're looking very strong. Things are going brilliantly. The main reason why we pushed the project back was because we wanted to work on a cinematic, introduce new myths, as I said, the Overseer, and as a apology for pushing it back, we added an additional 1,000 alpha slots for people to play our game. So we're really excited for people to get access to the alpha and start playing Ethereal.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it myself. I'm excited to see more about it. I'm just excited about this one in general.
We're excited for you to play. We really want to get this game up and running. But this is one of our principles at Undying Games. We want quality over everything. We don't want to release a bland project. We don't want to release unfinished project. If we have to, we'll push it back to the end of time until we can get you the perfect project. We are looking good for March, for a pre-alpha release. That's to give people an estimate of a date. It isn't confirmed, but that's what we're hoping for, and it is looking very solid right now for our release.
Right on, man. That's all the questions I have for you. Anything you want to put out to the community before we knock it off here?
I just want to say you guys are awesome. It's really motivating when all these people care so much about our projects. And I just want to speak on behalf of not only Undying Games, but Metabuff Visionary Games, every project. At the end of the day, none of us are as big as Epic Games, and at the end of the day, we're not getting paid to develop these projects. I think people kind of get a bit carried away when they want dates and they want gameplay. But I've got a job 9 to 5. I've got people to feed, and it's the same with everybody's situation. We're only human at the end of the day. Of course, we want to release this and we want this to be something amazing. But I guess people could sort of lay off on pressuring people for gameplay and pressuring people from all studios for character releases or whatever it is, and just sort of have faith and say, okay, listen, these guys are only human. They're doing their best. We're going to be patient, and it's going to be awesome, because it will be awesome. Of course, it's going to be awesome. People have got so much passion for every project, and we just want to emphasize that we are developing it, but we're only human at the end of the day, and we have outside lives that we need to prioritize before every project. And I just want to sort of emphasize that to the community on behalf of every studio, not only Undying Games, but every studio out there that's not being, funded, or we're not being paid to develop every program. So that's just sort of a point I wanted to relate to the community. Of course, you guys are awesome, and we really are really excited to show you what we can offer.
Good deal, man. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for doing this interview. I very much appreciate it, and I'm sure the community does too.
Yeah, thank you so much, dude, for having me. Again, stay tuned to our Discord, our social medias, our YouTube. I'll link Mongoose the links, and he can put them down below in his video to get updated on every major announcement that we have for the community. And thank you so much for having me.
In closing, I'd like to ask my viewers for some ideas you have for the games. In the future, I'll feature them as part of the show. This could be anything from hero ideas to map mechanics or whatever weird things you guys come up with. If you want to submit an idea, please email it to mongoose6@gmail.com or visit my Discord and drop the idea in the Game Ideas channel. Now that that's out of the way, I would just like to say how much I love and miss the entire Paragon community. Rallying around these games and speaking with like-minded fans has really brought back the creative spark in me. It speaks volumes that so many people came together in an effort to continue the legacy of our favorite game. However, with 4 titles out there, there's going to be competition. You're all more than welcome to cheer on one or even all 4 of these games. However, don't let your competitive nature get the best of you. Use your energy to be a shining light for the game you're most excited about, instead of throwing shade at the others. I hope you all enjoyed the third point of view, and don't forget to send in your game ideas. For now, this is Mongoose signing off. You guys, have a good one. Mangoose! Special shout out to Ferdinand for giving me the idea to do a summary at the beginning of this video. Thank you very much, my friend.